is a man formerly known as King Tonga and Haku. He is a former WWF World Tag Team Champion, a former WCW Hardcore Champion, the face of terror, the face of fear, the one and only Meng joins us tonight on the Two-Man Power Trip of Wrestling. Meng, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our absolute pleasure to welcome you in. What's something that the young guys come up and ask you? Do they talk about the myths of Haku, or do they want to pick your brain and find out some of the things that have gone on in your career?
Well, so far nobody, talk about, the young guys. But, for myself, wherever I'm at, I would like to leave something for them. You know what I'm saying? In their way of, for the business and for the young generation, maybe something that they can, I believe on passing the ball, to the next generation from us. And, and that's how I look at the business, soon that I won't be around, I'm in the business. I can't wrestle anymore or whatever will happen. But, I like for the young generation to take something, for my work or whatever I do in the ring, as I, will be there. But they never, I don't know what it is. If it's respect or, we just don't have time, to talk because, everybody is talking about their match and, what's going on and, what is going to happen. So I believe that's what it is. We just don't have the time to sit down, like I always think, with the old timers. It would be nice to sit down and, have a beer and smoke a cigar and reminisce the old days, Probably that's something that, it would be nice, and the young generation, it would be nice to have time, to sit around and I guess have a beer and talk about the business, how it was and how it is today. They know better than we do, I believe, especially, with the way the technology is going on today.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. I mean, I can sit here and reminisce with you about the old days till the cows come home because I remember watching you for the first time, and I started watching around 1987. So the Islanders were just getting started, but I remember watching some of the old tapes and getting to see you slam Big John Studd and see you as King Tonga and see you as a young guy coming up in the business. And at that point in 1985, 1986, when you got to the WWF, completely different game for the young guys coming in now. Are you surprised with how much the guys know actually when they're coming into the business versus when maybe you got into it?
Yes, and I admire them very much because to me, I feel like they are fans of wrestling. They watch wrestling. And those who come in, I could be wrong, I feel like they know every move in the business, in wrestling. Nowadays we were looking for a job, to take care of the family, and take care of things that needed to take care of. That's the difference. It was just a job. Nowadays, of course, how popular it is, and the new generation, they see differences, the Japanese style, the American style, the European style. So, the Mexican style, and they all mix that together, it's unbelievable. Sometimes I feel like, when I'm in Mexico, just stand there at the corner and watch all these, guys are flying around and stuff like that. And of course, Japan is, putting together and they mix everything there. So, yes, there was a difference. Today, they're fans and, making all, they're coming in to make the money. Nowadays, we're coming in to make the money to take care of the family. It was just a job. It wasn't something that, you had to be on diet for it or look good and all this stuff. Of course, the TV nowadays is much, important than nowadays, I guess. Or it was important also, but, we were just you know, I believe, as a job. We were looking for a job to take care of the family.
Yeah, and even though I saw you when you got to the WWF, I mean, before you got there, I mean, you wrestled in Japan, you wrestled in Montreal, you wrestled in Puerto Rico, and you had so much under your belt before you got to New York and before you got to the WWF. So I guess my next question would really be, when you got to New York and you already had all that experience under your belt, was New York kind of a surprise for you to see the a little bit more of the giant characters, the cartoony characters coming to life versus maybe some more of those serious promotions that you were in, especially Japan and also up there in Canada?
Yeah, New York was different. It was always supposed to be the big guys, for New York, as you see, with all Bruno Sammartino and them, and you talk about the all the guys at those days, Peter Maivia, Rocky Johnson, all those guys were, they were big guys. Dungan, all those, that, you always feel like, there'll be the dream to be in, it's like, at the time the business was growing and, you kind of, where I'm going to be at, they shove you around. And the way they work the bookers and, for those days, we went in there in '85, coming from Montreal with, Bravo and the Rougeaus. And, we were just there, how those, when Vince McMahon was going in, to the, what we call territories then. Of course, like, here in Florida was Tampa and, and he was taking over. So, he was giving them the chance to, I guess to buy the territory or he's going to take over if you like it or not. So, but when Tina and them sold to him, it was, he wanted, McMahon wanted me, Gina Bravo and the Rougeau from Montreal. So he brought us in 95, I believe in October of 95. So that was, and like I said earlier, we were there, and of course the Rougeau with the tag team, and with the Cinco, and with me, they weren't sure what to do with me, so I had multiple tag team partners, before I settled down there with Tony Kidd as the Islanders.
Felt like that was a great pairing with the Islanders. And obviously, when you guys turn heel, you throw Bobby the Brain Heenan in there, and obviously a part of the Heenan family. Was that easy to be teaming with Tonga Kid and the chemistry with him? Because you guys were a great under-the-radar tag team.
Yes. Tonga Kid already have the experience, of course, with WWF, with Jimmy Snuka and, Pipers and all of them, way before he came back, with me as a team. And, hell of a talent, there was, so, basically, I was just follow his footsteps and trying to keep up with him. But, it was very good as a team. I was the power and he was the high spots and all that, the high fly, the kid is unbelievable. The energy he had and still have today. He sees you from the other corner of the building, you know that he's in the building. That's the energy that I love about him, and he still have it. And, it was good. it was a good team, you know, the Islanders.
Such a
You know, of
great
course, the
team.
Heenan family. Yeah, it's all the spot there was all, you know, with the British, you know, with Dynamite and Dave. That was very,
Yeah, great feud with the British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid and Davey Boy Smith. I think so many people will remember WrestleMania 4 and the six-man tag versus the Bulldogs and Coco Beware, and you and obviously Tonka Kid, Tama, and Bobby the Brain end up winning that match, and everyone kind of hated, you guys. But you have fond memories of working WrestleMania and being with Bobby Heenan and that big moment for you guys getting a big win.
any memory you said
Yes.
with that match or any match?
Well, with Bobby the Brain and working with him.
Yeah, Bobby was always. I love about him because those days we travel, you know, 3 months without have a day off and all this stuff. And it was positive, you know, about trying to get us laugh, trying to get us, you know, going, you know, come on, you know, and he'll tell a joke and, you know, we all laugh, you know, getting ready, you know, to go to the ring. There was, you know, Bobby there. And Bobby was always, you know, that comedian that lift you up, you know, in the trip, you know. I met him in Japan, was the same thing, you know, the first time. And yes, Bobby was always, was a great, you know, manager in that way of, having fun with him. And, you know, and always, you know, remember the WrestleMania 6 also, you know, our last time together there with, you know, with the Giant, you know, I really felt like that we all, there was each for us, and, you know, and I always remember and have that in, you know, in my mind, and three of us, you know, before we went into WrestleMania 6, it was something that we all look at each other like, oh my God, you know, is this it? We won't be seeing each other again, and something like that. But of course, you know, we did. It's just, we all know that they're going to separate us, you know, in that match. So, Bobby, yes. Miss him, you know. I hope he's rest in peace. And, you know, there's those other things that then you look around and, you know, start looking at, you know, a lot of guys passing away, and I guess that's how life is. But, you know, Mr. Big Man, the Giant, and Bobby, that way, you know, the British Bulldog. I wish I could see Dynamite, you know. So, but who knows? I hope you know, I'll get to see him before anything happens.
Absolutely. So many great legendary guys passed away. You mentioned Bobby the Brain, obviously, and obviously Andre the Giant, who you were a part of the Colossal Connection with, and WrestleMania 6 was so memorable. The last time, basically, you guys teamed together, one of his last matches, really, and I remember Demolition got a gigantic pop when they beat you. It was just crazy. Do you have, you know, a lot of good memories of Andre? Because, you know, you see the HBO special, then you see all the stories come out about him. Do you have, you know, a lot of good memories from teaming and riding the road with Andre the Giant?
Yes, you know, it was with him, whatever he was thinking of, you know, it was an honor for me to be his teammate, you know. And I always remember, you know, me just being from Japan and being from Tonga, you know, you always try to respect. I live with it. I live with respect, you know, bringing from sumo, the samurai style and everything. And I remember asking him, you know, when we, you know, won the belts, you know, and I said, boss, you know, he called everybody boss, so you called him back, you know, boss. And, you know, just being respect, they give me the belt, I'll carry it for both of us. He said to me, boss, no. You carry yours, I'll carry mine. Okay? And, to me, that was something, wow, because, Japanese way, they always give the young guys to take care of you. And that's what I thought, it's my honor to carry both belts, especially for him, But he always carry his belt, with him. And, the other thing was we were sitting there somewhere in Seattle, one of our matches, and he waited for his daughter, and his daughter didn't show up. And, he's turning around and looked at me and he said, I'm very sad. I looked at him like, what? He's out of nowhere. I said, what's going on? I thought he was joking. But, he was kind of serious about it that, his daughter is not coming to see him. And I said, maybe, tomorrow or so that, she'll come over. He said, no, the mother told her not to come and see me. So, I just keep quiet, and but there was, I always remember that of him. And, of course, after the match, we go out and have something to eat and drink. And, when I had enough, I get up to leave, and, he's laughing because I can't find the door. The bar. Hey, boss, you need some more? I said, no, I'm good. In the same time, because he was thinking that he was bigger than you. He always think you're the same size, especially with me. The way we eat and the way we, drink. I have to drink every beer that he drinks, But it gets to the point that, after 6 years, you're drunk, he's still going, But that was the fun part of him and the memory of him. He was so nice and so good all the time. And if Tim White show up, Tim White will, where to take him, before. So he wants to take me over, their favorite place, their favorite restaurant. It was very good and enjoyable time like that.
So the legendary stories of him drinking so much, those are all true. He really can drink, 100 beers in one sitting.
I believe so, because I'll tell you, the first time that I ever drove him from here in Florida, it was Honey Race came in, and he was the giant of the Tallahassee. So the champion flew in, and the giant flew in, of course, commercial, but the little plane that he was, Honey Race was on, was one of the promoters there. So after the match, to make it short, he told the giant, I'll see you tomorrow. Since you can't get there tonight, so we can have a few beers. He said, what? He said, the giant, I said, what, boss? He said, I'll see you tomorrow. So he said, I'll see you tonight. Right over that, Mike Graham had a bar at the time here in Dale Maple in Tampa. So, of course, I'm the driver, and Rocky Johnson was sleeping at the back. We stopped the first. Was 2 cases of beer. Miller Genuine is what he was drinking that night. So there was 2 cases of beer, and after we got it, he said to me, "Boss, no red light, keep going. Now we're gonna try to get to to Tampa. So you'll see Harley race at the bar. That's what we were chasing. So he drank for what, 48 beers?
Oh my God.
That's right, 2 cases.
Yep.
And then we stopped for another case of beer. But, you know, it was scary because I was trying not drinking, but, you know, there was the red light would just keep going. That's why she said no red light. And we would just, no police to stop us. Lucky in that way. But, you know, we got in there was 3 cases of beer that we drank on our way back to Tampa. And we got to Tampa, the thing was still open. I think we were doing 120 miles an hour to, you know, to get to Tampa. So Harry Rose was surprised to see us. And came there, and so I didn't know that they were, if he sees that, you know, he'll buy him a tequila. So I guess watching them play pool and drink 3 bottles of tequila, I guess it tells you that he can drink that much of a beer. You know, beside the beer on the side, you know, chasing those 3 bottles of tequila. So, yeah,
now
that was the giant. And
I was going to say the only thing as legendary as his drinking stories are the stories about your toughness. And you always hear so many wrestlers, whether, you know, it's an old interview with Road Warrior Hawk or even Road Warrior Animal talking about it, or the Steiner brothers or all these other legit tough guys that say that they're afraid of you. Are these stories legit true that you're, you know, the toughest guy ever in the history of the business?
Jeez, I was afraid of them, and I'm still afraid of them. They are the tough guys. I was trying to get there, you know, of course, you know, with them and all, no, they're the toughest guys I ever meet on the field there, and, you know, geez, I was just a third world country boy that come into the business, try to feed my family back home. So whatever was in my way, you know, things happen, you know. So, you know, with Japanese blood that land and everything, samurai way of, you know, it was from my heart, from my soul that, you know, it's, oh, I'm not the toughest. I was just, I guess, a gentleman. Doing my job and what I had to do. But those guys are tough, man. Just to work with them, just to, you know, we don't know how tough they are. So, but, you know, it's very nice of them to call me the toughest guy. But no, you know, things happen. You know, the old days, we were told that, you all know that, you know, with the wrestling. It was kayfabe in that we, you know, protect our business inside and outside the ring. So, you know, that was what it was all, you know, for me, is, you know, protecting, you know, the business, you know, with the respect. You know, things happen just because, you know, I believe I was disrespect. But, you know, in my life was my business, was wrestling, love wrestling, and that's all I had, you know, in me was protecting my business. And, you know, everybody cheered away, you know. I guess now it's entertainment. So I'll go with it. I'll go with it much easier that way, and thank goodness they finally did it that way. So, yeah, that's all.
Well, you have become almost like a mythological creature in wrestling. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, did you hear this Ming story? You know, he's using the tongue and death grip in a bar, beating somebody up, ripping somebody's eyeballs out. You know, breaking chairs over people's head, fighting people 1-on-6 and beating them up. Are any of these stories true, or is it almost like a myth that people have created about, you know, the great Haku, the great Ming?
I'll tell you, some of them are true and some of them will make up. Yeah, you know, I guess, you know, with the, you know, the shoes, you know, with the eyeballs, with the, you know, beating up people in the bar, with, you know, it's hard to tell, which, you know, which one was which. It's just that, you know, again, it's just protecting the business and, you know, showing them that, you know, what this business is all about. So, you know, that was, you know, most of them, you know, it's true. But, you know, it's not, you know, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you guys, you know, it's my heart protecting the business. People, I guess, you know, the wrong timing, they have a few beers and they turn on, you know, calling the business is fake and all this stuff. And sometimes, I guess, it's jealousy that you walk into a bar and girls saw you on TV and they start talking, you know, to you instead of talking to those local boys or whatever, you know. So, you know, those are the things happening, you know. I don't blame them, but, you know, they got it. So open their mouth in a long time. So, you know, those are the things that happen.
I just love those stories, and I love that when you were King Haku in the WWF, and you know, around '89 or so. I love that you and Harley Race had a feud. It was almost like the two toughest guys were actually, you know, wrestling in the ring and, you know, keep killing each other in some great matches there.
Oh, thank you. I had to tell you a good story about Harley Race. Harley, you know, you guys have to probably, you know, in Japan, it's different for us to treat how we treat the old days, the foreigners. Especially, you know, you're talking about the Harley Race as a champion, you know, Ric Flair as a champion. You know, these guys are coming in as, they're like king of, you know, that they are of the ring. And, you know, Cruiser Brody, all of them, you know, all the respect, you know, Butcher, you know, all these guys, you know, the Sheik, you know, the original Sheik, you know, the respect and everything, you know, for the people there until they show up in the ring and, you know, run around and the fans, of course, you know, they're scared to death, you know, trying to. But what happened, you know, now that they're getting ready to send me over to America to get my experience and everything so I can come back, you know, to Japan. So, Harley Race came in a few times, so they put me with Harley Race to carry his bag, you know, his wife's bags and all this stuff, you know, the young boy. In the same time, what Giant Bubba wants me to do, to learn how to speak English from Harley Race. And, you know, you guys know Harley Race, he doesn't talk too much. He doesn't, you know, and especially in Japan, he doesn't speak Japanese or try to, you know, except maybe his matches with Baba or whatever. So here I am trying to, you know, ask him, you know, of course, my English in those days, you know, bags ready. He just, you know, shake his head, yes, you know, with the cigarette smoking. You know, you guys know how he smoked that cigarette. You know, he loved that cigarette, you know. And he just shook his head, okay, so I take his bag over there. So, you know, Baba, you know, always, you know, he's thinking that I learn how to speak English, that I think it's So at the end, I said to Baba, Baba said to me, Tom, have you learned any English from the champion? I said, in Japanese to Baba, no, he doesn't talk much. He smoke a lot. And so, of course, I told him that the story, he invited me to school and I told the students, what was there. And I'm sorry for my English because it was there. It was Hollywood's fault that I don't speak good English. But that was Hollywood's the old days. And the thing is, he was standing there and look at, he have one bag and his carry-on. And his wife had 6 bags. And they're coming in for 1 week. So he always shook his head when his wife cleaned the bags out of the hotel, to get, so I can put it in the bus there for wherever we travel to. But that's all about my English guys. It was Hollywood's fault.
But you guys, when you did get to have your little feud there in the WWF, you got to feud over being the king, and obviously, as King Haku, you had quite the reign of terror there for a little while. So now, did you find it to be quite an honor to be the king of professional wrestling?
Yes, of course. It was an honor for me, to be a king, and of course, from Hollywood, I'm glad he handed off to me. But, for me, I never forget that, and I always feel like, I think he carried it up for me for my hard working, taking care of him. No, but that's, just being a young boy. Yes, of course, and, and I'm sure the Japanese too, the company, Baba and New Japan were honored that, that he did that, to me here in America. So yes, never forget it, and always grateful.
And and it was at a time too where Harley Race was pretty much nearing the end of his career, and was fighting some pretty bad injuries. So the fact he was able to hang on and pass the torch to you really speaks to how much he did respect you and the relationship that you guys had. So that's always something kind of cool to look back and see the connection you had to him early in your career, and then to see him pass the torch to you later on. That's got to be quite the old feather in the cap there.
Yes, very, very true. Thank you. Yes. Those are the things that, that I wish that we can pass on to the next generation, the respect and, passing the right way, the torch to the young generation with respect and, understanding, how hard these people before us, working hard before us to bring to me, and, they work hard for me to give it to them, to pass the torch to the next generation. Those are the things that, I hope they'll never forget. No matter who it is or what it is, it is the respect of, because their turn will come, and I hope they'll do a good job, passing it to the next generation for them,
But, you got to see the next generation, which is now the past generation, but the late 90s generation that you saw in WCW. I mean, you saw guys like Chris Jericho coming through and then ascending to becoming a huge star. You got to see a lot of these cruiserweights like Rey Mysterio getting the opportunity to come in and do the things that he did in Mexico, but now in the United States. So you got to see the old guard, and then you got to be a part of the old guard and see the new guys coming in, but now those guys are looked at as legends. Now, when you were in WCW, did those guys seek you out as well and try to pick your brain? Because that group that you were around in WCW, and you had quite a run there, they also went on to be a lot. So that WCW time, I got to say, looking back, is that another one of those huge highlights for you to be around those next crop of stars that were in WCW?
Yeah, you're really right there, especially, with those guys, not just Mysterio, but also those guys from, Parker and them, they come from Mexico. It was the start of the mixing of, WCW, I believe, started there, bringing different, wrestlers from different countries. So, those are the things that, yes, definitely, those are, and I'm, and, thankful and grateful for that opportunity also that I had with, as Ming running, on WCW after, being Haku, King Haku in WWF. So, those are the, yes, that, like Mysterio and Chris Jericho and, Norman Smiley, this is our crew, Eddie Guerrero and, that we were in, Mexico together, So when, I guess I was the oldest and there were the, next generation there. So, there was, the guys that we were in Mexico together, and then we come in to WCW together there. So those, yes, it was great, and I'm thankful that we all had that opportunity there, and of course, with those guys, they were together, they were like brothers,
Yeah.
Jericho and those guys, stick together, and Malenko, they were Benoit, those are the guys. And then, when I came back to them on WWE then, those guys were champion, and they were up there, on top, Jericho. Chris Jericho, of course, with Benoit and Eddie and all of them. They did well, all of them. Yeah, Mysterio, all of them did well. And I'm so happy for them, and still is. Miss Eddie and Benoit, those are those guys, you just wonder what happened. If I was around, would I help them? Would I, I don't know. But I'm glad. I was happy that they were up there on top and still on top.
Yeah, still on top without a doubt. But when you got back to the WWF in 2001, a lot of people don't remember the fact that that was such a shock that you had just won the WCW Hardcore title, and then a week later you're at the Royal Rumble. Such a huge surprise. And as an old school WWF fan, obviously we love to see you back as Haku, so that was really cool. But I think a lot of people forgot that was kind of one of the last, I would say shots that WCW had left, that they lost you as the hardcore champion. I think that was one of the final blows that led to the real end of WCW, because that was a huge shock back when you re-debuted at the Royal Rumble in 2001.
Yeah, it was. Even myself when they called me. But if you sit back and analyze everything, how they work, I'm sure I was surprised that, the belt, the hardcore belt that I got, because, they didn't want, I was running about, a month or two? 2 months already with no contract. They didn't want to renew my contract. So, think about it. All of a sudden, they gave me the belt, hardcore belt. And then WWF called. But being in old school, I sent back the belt with the Barbarian, my brother, Jimmy Vailahi, that I, wanted him to have a job or a contract. So I gave him the belt to take it back to them, because I was with Hardy Race at the time, both of us. And, I was going from Hardy Race to the WWE, for that surprise.
And it is crazy that they wouldn't give you a contract, but they gave you the belt. I mean, it's kind of foolish almost on their part. They either it's one or the other, or you gotta give them a contract and then give them the belt.
Right? So let's try to figure it out. How did it happen? And WWF called. Of course, me, old school. I sent the belt back, trying to get my brother Barbarian job. And I believe that's why I had a short run with WWE.
Absolutely. And then you team with Rikishi, fought Undertaker and Kane, and obviously you left again. But as we start to wind it down a bit here, I just had to ask because I know you literally worked everywhere from Florida to Japan to many different places in Japan, Mexico, WCW, WWF. I mean, Montreal, Canada. I mean, you've wrestled everywhere. And it seems like for whatever weird reason, you may have wrestled Tenryu in almost every promotion, whether it was All Japan, SWS, WWF. You wrestled him, but is he one of your favorite opponents, or do you have some favorite opponents that you've had and some favorite matches? Because it's funny that he seems to have, or you seem to have followed him almost everywhere.
Well, that's the Japanese. We both came from sumo, and pro wrestling started by a sumo wrestler, and that's how that I always tell my children to look at the flag of Japan is that red round thing there. And I always said, everything is going around. What goes around comes around. And that's what, with Tenryu, he was a big brother from sumo and all the way to the end of his career. He was always my big brother. And wherever he goes, I was there, and in Japan when he started the SWS and he came to Vince to look for help. And, at the time, I was with Vince I gave my notice, for a year by then, but he keeps saying to me, for some reason, Vince McMahon keeps saying to me, Tom, just wait, just wait. Don't go yet, there'll be something coming, and, So we waited, and all of a sudden, Tenryu show up. And there was, I'll say goodbye with WWF. But, Vince said, go whenever you're done with SWS and come back over here, So that was the thing. But with Tenryu, yes. I respect him. He was what we call in sumo sekitori. He's on top there, fighting the grand champion and everything. And, and known them from there. And their stable was just about, 500 yards from us. Sometime we call it the Keiko. We go to their place and wrestle them, in their place. They don't come to us because we were under, we didn't have the top guys like they do, so we go to them. But I was respect. So since then with Tenryu, was always, he always take care of the young boys. That's what it is. That's how they look, they always, no matter what, he was always there for me.
And I feel like with you and a couple of years ago with obviously your sons, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and you kind of came and helped them out with the Bullet Club, I feel like you were kind of paying it forward a bit and even, paying a little respect, of their part, they were paying some to you of showing how popular you were in Japan. So was that a cool moment, teaming with the Sons and being a part of the Bullet Club, albeit for a short while?
Yes. Yeah, they were all said. That's the whole thing. I always try to give back and honor, the Japanese, what they have done for me, and honor, of course, Vince and, the crew there. And, I will say, with all the promoters that gave me a job, I honor them, But, with Japan, yes, is very well said there, like you said, is showing them, my respect, my thankful, my grateful, with, and, the, we've been with New Japan, we've been in New Zealand together, and, of course, Japan. Yes, it's, is that I hope my boys understand that. With the new generation, I'm not too sure. Sometimes if they understand, that part of it's life. I guess to me, it's from my heart. It's my life. To give back. It's my life to show them the way. And, I hope they understand that, because Japan, with our relationship, and, they have the chance to go there. And, now with the youngest boy that I like very much in the dojo, like I did, it's, the dojo in Japan is a great thing, because they teach you how to be a wrestler and how to be take care of yourself. If to cook, you cook, and what they call jungle nappe, of course, is sumo. And now my youngest boy know how to cook jungle nappe, so he comes home and cook it for us with the family, trying to impress us. And, he did. He did a good job. And, I'm glad. I like that. That's what I'm trying to show the older, the Pangaloa and Tama. The spirit of a samurai, the spirit of the Japanese is unbelievable.
We've got to interview both of them in the past, and obviously they speak so highly of you, and they looked up to you their whole lives, and it's very cool to bring it full circle and have you on after speaking with them. It's been a few years since we spoke with them, but still, it's great to hear that coming from you specifically. The way we like to end it is we like to kind of get your legacy, what's left on the business, but with you, it's not just a legacy; it's so much more. You've done so much in the wrestling business. You've done so much for the wrestling business, but also the connection to the Samoan dynasty and also the Tongan legacy that you've got. What do you want fans to remember about Haku? Do you want them to remember you as the toughest guy to ever be in the business? Do you want them to see your sons coming through the ranks of wrestling and see what you've done in your career through them now? What do you want fans to remember about Haku or Mang or King Haku or King Tonga? What do you want us to remember at the end of the day?
I think at the end of the day is remembering another tough guy, but remember what I've done for the business. And a family, togetherness as family, just like the Samoan dynasty. The respect for families and appreciate the fans. Without them, we won't be around or sit here and talk with you on radio here. But, I like to remember, that I did good for the business. Something, and the new generation to learn something, not as a tough guy, but as a family, a wrestler with respect, a wrestler that, done a lot for the business.
And I think you might get a kick out of this. A few weeks ago, we were with the Barbarian at a show here in Virginia, and we were looking at a picture of the two of you, and he said, "How come nobody ever wanted to test me, and they always wanted to test him? I never understood that." So I got to ask you that. Why did nobody ever want to test the Barbarian? Why did they always come after you?
Right? Because you know how what they say about the quiet guys, right? They are the tough one, and I'm the noisy one, trying to kick door and open door for our team to get somewhere, So and I'm thankful, that if there's somebody there so graceful is Barbarian. But watch out when you get mad, it's one of those guys. Barbarian, hell of a nice guy, good people. Like I said, he's very graceful. But then he'll just show you everything that walks by him. But that's Barbarian. It's very and that's how our team was. He'll whisper to me something, whatever he wants, and when we talk or whatever, so he'll tell me, can we go out and talk, and then we come back. That's how he is. Very nice. Very graceful. But he's a tough one to deal with when he gets mad. But, yeah.
And we thank you so much for going into such detail tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos,